Hello, welcome to this video on Dhammapada, Chapter 8, Sahasravaggo, verses 1 to 3, and that's verses 100 to 102 in the consecutive numbering. I'm putting all of these three verses in one video because of the close similarity in wording. So I'll read out verse 1 without the text on screen as usual, and then I'll read it again with the text on screen. Sahasam api chevacha anattapada sanghita ekang attapadang sayo yang sutva upasammati. Now I'll call up the text. Here we are. Sahasamapi chevacha anattapada sanghita ekang attapadang sayo yang sutva upasammati. Now, as I've mentioned in the note, there's no verb in the first line, and the grammatical structure of this is a bit loose. I think the meaning is entirely clear, but it's just a poetic looseness in the structure. So, sahasam is a neuter noun meaning 1,000, and rather like in English, it's used as a, if it means 1,000, it's used as a singular noun, very much as in English, 1,000 things. We say 1,000 or 1,000 things. So the numeral goes in the singular, but the number of objects, 1,000 objects, will be in the plural, as I say, exactly as in English. So api, even. Api is even, and che is if. So api che, exactly as we can say in English, even if. So exactly in Pali, api che, with the difference that api che cannot stand at the beginning of the sentence, it comes after the verb in question. So in English you say even if 1,000, in Pali you say sahasam api che, 1,000 even if. Vacha, it's a feminine noun, vacha. So in the singular vacha and the plural also vacha, nominative. So even if 1,000 utterances. Anattapada sanghita. Pada in this context means a word, as in the Dhammapada, the Dhamma word, the word of the Dhamma. Atta means a meaning. So attapada means a meaningful word, a word that has meaning. Sanghita, conjoined with. It's from sandha. Let me call up iPad for you. I'm not sure if I've adjusted my screen right. We have the root dha. Oops. Meaning to put. Cognate actually with our English word do. And we find that in Sanskrit and Pali, to do and to put, there's often a certain element of overlap between them. When it occurs at the end of a compound, it becomes, of a compound noun, it becomes the. So, sandha, which you can write as sandha, or you'll also find it written as sandha, to put together, then you'll get sandhi, which of course we know is the fusion of vowels or consonants when at the junction of words. Sandhi just means putting together, and exactly cognate with the Greek and classical Greek synte. Synthi would be pronounced in modern Greek. And for example, in synthesis, so that bit, the synthe, synthe, is the same as sandhi, it's the same meaning and the same origin. If you put an a in the middle, gathering together, then that's our word samadhi. The past participle of this root dha, it's irregular. You'd have expected to see dhata if it were regular, dhata, but it's irregular. The past participle is in fact hitta. So put together or conjoined with is sanghita. Just as, for example, if a person's mind is concentrated, if he is in samadhi, the past participle is samahita. So samadha is the verb, samadhi the noun, samahita is the past participial adjective, concentrated. So sanghita means then joined or conjoined with. So attapada sanghita means meaning word conjoined, means coupled with meaningful words or associated with, in conjunction with meaningful words. And that adjective is then negated by prefixing the alpha privative, the negating a, so it becomes anattapada sanghita. And in the feminine, sorry, it becomes anattapada sanghita. So this first line now goes sahasamapi vacha anattapada sanghita, meaning even if 1,000 vacha utterances not conjoined with words of meaning. So even if 1,000 utterances that do not have with them, do not have in them words that import a meaning, words that are conjoined with meaning. I've put a note here about the alternative meaning which is found in the Chinese translation, which suggests or openly says that the meaning here is the meaning given to it in the mind of the person hearing them, rather than a meaning inherent in the words themselves. The Pali can also give that sense. On the face of it, the Pali looks as if it's the anattapada, attapada, a meaning word, a word that has meaning. But it could be construed, I feel reasonably confident in saying, to mean a word to which the hearer can attach a meaning. So this first line is effectively just a nominal phrase there. There's no verb there. The second line, ekang attapadang seyo yang sutva upasammati. Ekam attapadam. So padam is a neuter noun. Ekang attapadang, literally one meaning word, one word that has meaning, or that conveys a meaning, or, taking the Chinese interpretation, Chinese translation interpretation, one word from which the hearer can derive a meaning, see the meaning. Seiyo is better. Yang sutva upasammati. Yang sutva, literally which, having heard, or in English would say having heard which. Upasammati, one is calmed. This verb upasammati, again, so sham, in Sanskrit it is a class for Atmanepada, Parasmaipada. So it is Shamyati. And in Pali, Sammati. Meaning to become calm. It's from the same word that we have, for example, the Sanskrit word for peace, Shanti. The Shanti actually is the root sham plus the very common way of making a verbal noun, add ti to it. We would have expected then to see shanti, but there are a number of roots in an which lengthen the a when it's immediately followed by ti as part of the same word. So not shanti but shanti, and the corresponding adjective peaceful is shanta. This is all Sanskrit, of course. So shamyati becomes sammati, becomes calmed. An upasammati, upa here just seems to be like an intensive form, just fully calmed. That in English we talk about being calmed down. In Sanskrit and Pali, kind of calmed up. It's like a completed process. In Pali, we also see the upasama, the noun upasama, the calming, also the complete calming, the complete cessational stilling rather than cessation, stilling of the kleshas or defilements. It would be in Sanskrit vyupa, put the v in front of vyupashama, which would be by Santi not vu but vyupashama. And in Pali, that actually becomes vupasama. Vupasama, the full quieting or stilling. So here, this verb is not applied, the upasammati is not applied to the kleshas, but to the person who hears these words that have meaning. So, ekamattapadam seiyo, one meaningful word, one word of meaning, seiyo is better, meaning than all of the foregoing. Yang sutva, which, having heard upasammati, is calmed. He is calmed. I mean, his mind becomes tranquil and calmed. Normally, I'm thinking now about the anuswara at the end of ekang at the beginning of the second line. Normally, always in Sanskrit and normally in Pali, where a word ends in an M and the following word begins in a vowel, you don't have anuswara, you just get the full consonantal M followed by the vowel. Just as, for example, in the first line, it's not sahasang apiche, but sahasamapi, sahasamapiche. See how I'll just call up so sahasam apiche, and you'll see here written in the Devanagari, sahasamapiche, but here ekang, the new word attapadang. Normally, as I say in Pali, you will say ekamattapadam. It's written thus in the digital Pali reader with anuswara. You do find it sometimes written like that with anuswara in poetry, and they will normally do it in poetry if you want a long syllable there, because remember the anuswara, a vowel followed by anuswara, is always treated as a long syllable in Pali. So ekang attapadang, as opposed to sahasama, long, short, or heavy, light. It's just a feature of Pali poetry. It's a bit unpredictable whether it's going to happen or not, and sometimes it appears to me to be a little bit random. Anyway, it doesn't alter the meaning, and hopefully it doesn't matter terribly much. So I'll read this through once more. Sahasamapi chevacha anattapada sanghita ekang attapadang seyo yang sutva upasammati. Even if, then we can insert there, even if what? Even if one were to hear or utter, even if one were to hear 1,000 utterances not conjoined with words of meaning, or which do not give meaning to the mind of the hearer, like colon, ekang attapadang seyo, one word of meaning is better, yang sutva upasammati, which having heard, the mind becomes, the mind of the hearer becomes calm or peaceful. We'll go now straight on to the next verse. Here we are. You'll see it, the wording fairly closely follows the previous one. Sahasamapiche gatha anattapada sanghita ekang gatha padang seyo yang sutva upasammati. So here this verse is identical to the previous one, with the exception that we don't have that gatha replaces vacha in the first line, and in the second line, instead of attapadang, it's gathapadang. So I needn't bother to explain it all again. Safe to say that in the first line, so even if sahasamapiche gatha, even if 1,000 verses, gatha means a song or a verse. The original meaning of it is something that is sung, and the gatha and the alternative past participle form used as a noun, Gita, they both effectively mean a song, as in Gita, as in Bhagavad Gita. So even if 1,000 verses / songs, anattapada sanghita, again as before, not conjoined with words of meaning, ekang gatha padam, one word of a verse, a gatha padam mean a word of a verse. So one word of one verse, seyo yang sutva upasammati, again meaning as before, which having heard, the mind is calmed. So sahasamapiche gatha
Anattapada Sanghita Ekang Gatha Padang Seyo Yang Sutva Upasammati. Now go on to verse 3. Yo Chagatha Satang Bhase Anattapada Sanghita Ekang Dhamma Padang Seyo Yang Sutva Upasammati. So yo, who, used on its own often means whoever. Yocha, and whoever. Gata Satang Bhase, and Satang, 100, like 1,000, it's treated as a neuter noun, as we do in English. Gata Satang, you can say, you can use it in compound, a Gata Satang, as a compound word, or Gata Satang as two words. So 1,000 songs or verses. Bhase, root bhas, Sanskrit bhash, to speak. So whoever might speak. This is the optative because we aren't talking about a person who is speaking 1,000 verses. We're saying whoever might speak. That's kind of an indefinite, the indefinite idea that if anybody were to speak, whoever might speak. Yochagata Satang Bhase, whoever might speak 1,000 verses, Anattapada Sanghita, as before, not conjoined with words of meaning. Ekang Dhammapadang Seyo Yang Sutva Upasammati. This second line is the same as in the previous two verses, with the exception we have Dhammapadam. Now here we see Dhammapadam, the very work that we're studying now. A Dhamma word, one Dhammapadam, one Dhamma word, Seyo, is better. Yang Sutva Upasammati, which having heard, the hearer becomes calm. The mind of the hearer becomes tranquil. So I'll read that last one again. Yo Chagatha Satam Bahase Anattapada Sanghita Ekan Dhamma Padang Seyo Yang Sutva Upasammati. And that's all for these three verses.